And I think that's inappropriate. As a parent, I do not think that's appropriate
That's
for
just
a
wrong.
teacher to
Wait.
do.
Their own
Teacher is there to
preferences?
teach
Wait, you just
basic
fucking
metric. There's a
totally lied.
basic metric.
Give me a single account that said that.
Okay.
Yeah, and do you support Trump?
Yeah.
And if the election were held today, Harris versus Trump, who would you rather vote for?
Trump.
Okay, why do you support Trump?
I mean, there are multiple reasons as to why I support Trump. Primarily, though, I support my party, and the leader of that party is currently Trump. But I would say executive order. I think it was 14168 was one of the things that I was on board with initially.
Initially, are you still on board with?
I think so.
Okay, and how
Yeah,
are you on
I
board
would
with that?
say. 14168 specifically was talking about biology being immutable, and there are only two. I think that as a father, and also let me just be transparent really quick. I'm at a slight handicap because I have my 2-year-old currently on my chest, trying to put him to sleep. He was supposed to be in bed, but anyway, so I'm slightly distracted. But no, as a father, I would say some of the things that I saw starting even prior to the Biden administration. When during Trump's first administration, I started seeing certain things that, as a parent, raised some red flags, and and I think I've talked to Dean about this before, and you were on the panel with Dean. But I mentioned that one of my friends, he's in Crozet, Virginia. His 11-year-old at the time, this was in 20, I want to say it was 2020 or 2021, if I remember correctly, came home from school one day, and she decided to tell her parents that she was non-binary. And come to find out, so my friend is a computer programmer. He went to Cornell in Ithaca, but anyway, that's not really neither here nor there. But he hacked into her school computer, found out that her homeroom teacher was part of what's called GSA, and was essentially telling the children that she was a safe place to
So let me just
come to
clarify.
talk to about.
The person
Sure.
you're referencing committed a federal crime.
Sure. The teacher,
So
however,
you're literally describing how someone you know committed a federal crime to be able to find information about their kid by hacking onto school server to be able to find
into
this
her personal
information. And
computer.
what was
No,
the
it was it wasn't
information?
it wasn't school servers. It was into her personal computer, but the
Uh,
teacher for her homeroom was sending emails directly to a group of individuals in their homeroom saying that they could talk about their preferences to her, and without the knowledge of parents, and specifically said that
you
they did
you
not
mean
have
like
to
if they're
tell the
gay,
parents.
they can have support from someone because
No,
parents can be homophobic?
no, talking about like their genders, as far as
Gender and preference are
binary,
two different
non-binary,
things.
things like that.
So you can
I'm
talk
sorry. Go
about
ahead.
being non-binary. So she said, "I'm a safe space if you want to talk to me about you being non-binary." Wow, dude, that's a
Well,
W teacher right there.
the issue, well, according to
What's
you,
what's
the
wrong with the
issue,
teacher saying that they're a safe space if you want to
because the
talk about how
teacher's
you're
not the parent, first and
non-binary?
foremost.
What's up?
Because the teacher's not the parent. The teacher should not have parental authority over a child.
But that's not parental
By
authority
any,
over a
by
child. That's just saying they're a safe space you can go to talk to them. That's what a
No, but
teacher
what the
should
teacher
do.
was doing was undermining the parents' authority by going behind the parents' back, telling the children that they did not have to tell the parents what they talked about specifically, without informing the parents.
Yeah,
There was
that's
no
totally
parental
fine.
consent there. That's illegal.
There are
No,
there
in
are
Virginia, that's not legal.
Okay,
That's why
how
she
is
was
it
fired.
illegal? How is it illegal to say that to say
Because
specifically
because without signing up for education classes in Virginia, a teacher's
that's not
not
sex ed?
authorized to have conversations
That's
with,
not
with,
sexual
with
conversations.
minors
You're talking about
without parental
gender.
consent.
You're talking about gender.
Well, they were talking about ideology
Wait,
as a whole.
gender is wait, what do you mean ideology? What does that mean?
So they were talking about their preferences. They were talking about
Gender or preference? Which one?
both, all
Okay,
of the above,
so
gender
when
as
you
well
say
as preferences.
preference, you just mean like, oh, like we want to limit people who are gay from being bullied. That's it? And like
No,
I won't tell your parents that you're gay.
no. The fact that she was part of a NGO with GSA, and then also was literally telling the children that they could talk about sexual like what their sexual identity was, what their preferences were,
What do you
and
mean
then
by
also
Identity.
said
Do you mean being gay or being bisexual?
what they no what they identify as. If they identify as a male, female, if
That's
they
not a
identify
sex
trans, if
preference.
they
Dude, that
identify
is not a
as
sex
a
preference.
furry,
Not a sex preference. What are you
as
talking
well
about?
as
You
sexual
say, why are
preferences.
you saying talking about your gender is a sexual preference? Do you know the difference
I'm
between
not
gender and sex?
I'm not conflating the two. What I'm saying is, and also, let me clarify, preferences and also gender
Yeah, okay, so
identification.
when they were,
Okay.
and I am asking you, when they talk about sexual preference, what are they specifically saying?
I don't know the extent of the conversations, but I do know in this instance that the girl came home saying that she was, non-binary. She had, you know,
Okay, what's wrong with that?
based off of what the parents told me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's wrong with that? They were already non-binary already. The
No, they
the,
weren't.
the school didn't
She
cause them to
had
be non-binary.
she was 11 years old and she had no idea what she was even talking about up until she started going to this public school where this teacher started essentially grooming the children, and that's exactly
That's
what was
not
happening.
grooming children, okay?
Kind
And
of
if they
is.
if they want to figure
Well,
out,
based on your perspective, maybe it's not.
it's definitely not grooming children. Like you are being
Okay.
so unbelievably ridiculous when you by the way, when you say grooming, you know what type of allegation you're making towards someone? You're claiming
Yeah,
that she's
I do. That's
engaging
that's a
in
she's
yeah,
a
you
the
think that
teacher
she's
was
a
a and that's why she was
because
fired.
so by the way, you think she's a because she said you can literally have a safe space in talking to me if you're gay or if you are non-binary. Like that, come on,
No,
you're being
no, I'm
fucking
saying it because
ridiculous.
she
If
went
you think
behind the
that that's a
parents'
crime,
back
if
and
you think that's a
undermined the
violation of something,
parents.
I think you are a maniac. I think you're
Well,
crazy.
by state law in Virginia, it is.
Okay, I don't know what state law. Tell me what state law.
In Virginia, a teacher
It's
is
not
not
grooming.
allowed to have conversations without parental
When you say
consent. That's for sex
conversations,
education.
do you understand there's a distinction between saying specifically, right, like I'm here if you are gay for support for anti-bullying versus
Parker,
having a
did you not hear
sexual
what I said
Can you
previously?
please listen to my full statement without cutting me off? Comparative to having a conversation that is with a child. Do you understand the distinction between those two things?
I do understand. I'm not conflating those two. What I'm saying is, and again, I will reiterate because apparently you did not hear me the first time. She was specifically not just talking about one thing as far as gender. She was talking about preferences, actions, identities,
What things
as well
specifically?
as gender
What
with these
things
children
specifically? Because if you
behind
can't,
the parents' back.
what
That's
specific
that
things?
in Virginia. In order to take sex education classes, the parents actually have to approve that. Basically, what
I
she was
understand.
doing is she was giving them sex education without parental consent, which is illegal in Virginia.
Okay, so to clarify, all she was doing was sex education for the classrooms. And do you have a source
But
that
that was
says
not
that?
her prerequisite to do. She was a homeroom teacher. Therefore, that's why parents were highly
Okay, I, well,
concerned
I
and she
think
was
that like
fired
you need to tell
for
me what
grooming.
sex ed you're referencing because if it's literally just like they're saying like oh I'm a safe space to come to if you're gay and you have parents that are homophobic or
No, that's not
transphobic or
just it.
whatnot.
I've already clarified this.
If
I've
that's not
literally
the
already
conditions,
clarified this, Parker. I know you'd love to defend this, but it's illegal in Virginia to do that. To have conversations with children, with minors, without parental consent, it's not legal to do.
can you give me a
If she
source?
was a
What are the criminal
education
charges?
teacher
Where are the
and
criminal
she was
charges?
teaching the
Were they
children
were they
that
criminally
had
charged?
parental consent, it would
Were they
be one
criminally
thing.
charged?
But she
Yes or
was
no?
not.
Okay, so then
Yes,
what are you
she
talking
was.
about? Okay, where's the criminal
In
charge?
Crozet, Virginia. Look it up. I'm sure you can find it online.
Okay. So, why do you keep bringing this up? What's the point of bringing this up if it was something that they went after with the law?
Because I'm going back to what I said with Executive Order 14168, where it was talking about there are only two genders and biology is immutable as far as sex is concerned. Therefore, it made it much more difficult for teachers like this individual to do something like that
Well, you
without
already said that it was.
being
You already said that it was prevented specifically under that
repercussed by the
state
law.
law. So this federal
Yeah,
executive
for
order.
Virginia, but that
So
executive order made it more
this
difficult
federal
across the
executive
board.
order does nothing to address that. That was state law that you said already addressed that. So the federal executive order had nothing to do with that.
I know, but the federal order, the executive order has made it more difficult. It has hindered the ability for teachers. A lot of teachers, once that executive order, and I'm sure you are already aware of, once that executive order passed, many teachers, public school teachers, just quit
Okay, I don't see what your point is though. So like I think that you
because it made it more
trying.
difficult for teachers to go behind parents' backs without their parental consent to talk about
So
things
I
to
would like to.
children
Can you
or
give me any
minors
source that a bunch of teachers just quit because of that?
all over the internet, dude. Like literally, there were teachers all over TikTok, literally posting videos about how they were quitting because they
Okay, so
couldn't
you
talk
saw.
about their
So let me just
preferences
clarify. Let me
in
just
front of
clarify.
children.
This is what's frustrating. you make a generalized claim based upon a random TikTok you saw.
No, it wasn't
Do you
random.
really need me
There
to
were
come on here and
multiple.
explain to you how unbelievably stupid that is? Okay?
Okay, so do you
You
want me
need
to give you
actual.
citations?
Please listen to my full statement. That you need actual evidence to substantiate what you're saying, and not just you see a random TikTok and then judge, an entire population based upon that.
Yeah, I'm not generalizing, and
You
I'm not
are.
saying that it's every single teacher. I said many teachers. Again, keyword there, many
That's a
teachers.
generalization.
No, that's all. If I said all teachers versus many, very different. Generalization is assuming it's an entire category or demographic of individuals. I'm not saying that. I said many teachers, not all. Many teachers did make videos on TikTok specifically citing this executive order as to why they were quitting, because they were no longer allowed to discuss preference to minors.
So you think they
I think
framed
that's a
it? So
win.
so by the
I'm
way,
sorry. I know you
so by the
disagree
way,
with that,
you
Parker,
think
but I think that's a good thing.
so you think they framed it as, oh, I wanted to literally talk about having sex with kids, right? And because I couldn't
There
talk
were
about
many
having
teachers
sex with,
that did,
can you
yes.
listen to an entire statement that I make without cutting me off for 1 second, please? Holy shit! You think that they were specifically framing it as, oh, I wanted to talk about having sex with kids in terms of with the children, right? Or not? Sorry, I can't speak. Having sex, well, with the children, talk about having that conversation with children, and because I couldn't have that conversation with children, that means that then I'm going to then go and I'm going to leave my job. That's what they said.
Are you done? I don't want to interrupt.
Why do you have to act like this? I asked you a question. I said, is that what you're asking? I stopped talking, and then you're going to act like such a child that you're going to ask me if I'm done. You know that I was already done. Why do you have to be so pedantic and a fucking annoying piece of shit like that?
I'm not trying to. I want to make sure that your thought process
Really?
is
You're not trying
completely
to? Like,
clear.
when I completely
No,
stopped talking, it was obvious.
Parker.
You're acting
No,
like it
I don't
wasn't
debate you on a
obvious that I
regular
stopped
basis.
talking.
I don't know your mannerisms or your temperament. I apologize. I'm not a psychic.
You don't need to be a psychic to realize that I stopped talking.
Well, I've debated against Dean before, and when he stops talking, sometimes he decides to go right back on, and then I get cut off. So I want to make sure if I'm going to have a conversation that's actually somewhat progressive and amicable, then we need to actually make sure that we're completely done.
If I was a teacher, I would quit if I had to deal with parents like you.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't have to because I homeschool. So
Thankful. Now, can you make your
yes,
point?
thankfully, absolutely, yeah. So what I'm saying is, many of these teachers, these individual teachers that did post videos that some went viral on TikTok, and again, I'm not saying all, I'm not generalizing. I said many. They did specifically cite that this was one of the reasons why they were quitting, because they felt like they couldn't talk about their own preferences to these children. And I think that's inappropriate. As a parent, I do not think that's appropriate
That's
for
just
a
wrong.
teacher to
Wait.
do.
Their own
Is there to
preferences?
teach
Wait, you just
basic
fucking
metric. There's a
totally lied.
basic metric.
Give me a single account that said that.
Okay, now you're interrupting me.
Wait, give me. Yeah, I am. Give me a single account that said that. I'll wait.
Okay, sure. Let me look it up. I can find multiple accounts on TikTok, and it's very simple to do actually, because all I have to do is just go to Libs of TikTok, because she's the one who posts all of the videos. Yes, I know
So,
you don't like her.
yeah,
I'm fully
the
aware.
propaganda outlet on Twitter. Nice job. Go ahead. Go to
It's just
Libs
it's
of
not
TikTok.
propaganda.
Go
She's just
find your
reposting
propaganda.
videos of other individuals.
Libs of TikTok is
Literally,
insane.
she's just well,
I
she's just
cannot believe
reposting
you just
videos of
cited
other
them.
individuals.
That's just unbelievable.
Well, because these are actual people that have been fired from their jobs or have quit from their jobs. And some have made national news. Some have not. Point
Okay, well
being
then
is
go
it's
ahead.
inappropriate
Go
for
find it. Go
teachers.
find it. I want you to go find it. I don't want to hear the whole propaganda
Okay.
narrative again. I want you to go find the video. I'll look at the video and I'll evaluate it for the video. I don't want to hear your whole propaganda narrative again. I'm good.
Okay. Well, I need a minute to cite it then.
Totally fine.
And remember, I've got a 2-year on me, so hold on.
That's okay. Alrighty. And just unmute whenever you're ready. Did you find your source?
Yeah, I found a few different sources. There's individuals, and I'll give you the actual URLs, or at least the title, so you can look them up. But Tennessee, Florida, there's quite a few different individuals. But
What's the title?
real life example, it's cited from Southern Equality, and let me give you the actual.
Title.
It's southernequality.org, and hold on, I'm pulling up the title. Also, can you just, and I'm not trying to be pretentious here, Parker, because I appreciate the dialogue that we have. We've had discussions in the past. This is just something that, as a parent, that I'm passionate about and I'm concerned about. Southernequality.org. It's Tennessee teacher leaves profession over anti-LGBTQ+ policies, and it references
Tennessee
in there
educator
that the
what?
individual is Tennessee teacher leaves profession over anti-LGBTQ plus policies. It's from March 8, 2024, and author is Cecil Robinson.
From Southern Equality.
Yeah, SouthernEquality.org.
Okay, alrighty. And the policy they mentioned is what?
So hold on, let me go back into it. I apologize.
It says a recent wave of legislation that intends to restrict teachers' ability to create a welcoming environment for LGBTQ plus students, put these important student-teacher relationships at risk. States across the country have passed a Don't Say LGBTQ plus curriculum restriction laws, which restrict or ban mention of LGBTQ plus identity in school curriculum, curricular materials, and even school library books. Many quote unquote don't say LGBTQ plus laws, like SB 49 in North Carolina, force school staff to out trans students by telling parents of a change in their name or pronouns. This forced outing is incredibly harmful, as some students may feel safe and ready to come out at school, but not at home. 7 states already have Don't Say LGBTQ plus laws, and 5 states have enforced outing laws, have quote unquote forced outing laws. This year, states are expanding these anti-LGBTQ plus attacks. So, by the way, your own source that you just mentioned is quite literally indicating how this policy is necessary, important, and isn't how, like, kind of how you were talking about it. It just like what you're referencing is just getting rid of their ability to mention LGBTQ plus. That's it.
Well, yeah, but that goes into something. I mean, this is where context is important, and maybe I'm wrong here. I mean, I'm more than happy to admit when I'm wrong about something, but it goes into it, in my personal opinion, and I want to clarify first and foremost, it's my just based off of my own observation. So I'm not saying I'm right at all, but based off of the observation of these individuals, and that's just one reference. There's another one in Tennessee, another individual in Georgia,
By the way, the
resigning,
person
basically
the
saying,
person you're referencing, who left is because they had a flag representing the LGBTQ plus community, which has the word human, which represents that all students, no matter your background, are all the same at the end of the day. That's literally all she was trying to do. And by the way, you know what pisses me off the most is that, like, you're more worried as a parent about this than you are restricting a rapist from being in the Oval Office or trying to release the Epstein files, because the guy that you support prevented the release of the Epstein files. Those things are actually harms to children. And you overlook those things to try to address this, which is not a harm to children and actually is a benefit and provides security for many children.
well,
You try to
let's not
frame it as
pivot.
you're trying to
I'm not
protect children,
defending.
but it is the complete opposite of them.
Okay, well, I don't want to pivot here. I want to focus on this, but I'm not defending anything. I've already said multiple times to you as well as Dean, anyone that is potentially complicit with the egregious acts that were involving Epstein should be held accountable and also be thrown in prison. That's just my personal opinion. But going back to this, and again, I don't want to pivot.
Before you do, can you address the fact that
It
Donald
goes
Trump
to
has
a
prevented
deeper.
the release of the Epstein files?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can you address the fact that Donald Trump has prevented the release of the Epstein files?
I can't speak on it because I don't know enough about it. I haven't done a lot of research on it too terribly much, other than the fact that there's been promises that have not been kept, and that's pretty much the gist of it. So I can't really go into detail. Therefore, I would concede on that completely. You would beat me, destroy
So let
me
me just
on
clarify.
that.
They're legally obligated to release them all. They're not releasing them, even though they're legally obligated to do so. That tells me that he's violating that. Plus, I think he's credibly accused by a minor in the Epstein files that got a settlement with the Epstein estate. If we believe the accusations of victims of Epstein to be true about their accusations against Epstein, and if those accusations implicate Trump, you should believe them. That's what happened in this NPR investigation where they scrubbed, the DOJ scrubbed these interviews associated with these allegations targeted towards Trump from an individual who got a settlement with the Epstein estate. There's countless things I can point to. If you actually care about protecting kids, if you actually care about protecting people in need, why would you support this guy? Why would you not do research into this?
So again, I have not done a lot of research into the Epstein case, but again, this is kind of pivoting from my original. I understand where why you're conflating the two. I get it, but what I'm saying is, as far as this goes into a deeper, I think as a parent anyway, it goes into a little deeper. There, there just needs to be more context when it comes to this. Like individuals that are quitting over not being able to have, let's just say, for example, a trans flag in their classroom. To me, a teacher is there for one primary purpose. It's to educate based off of curriculum. It's not to It's not to impose any type of ideological beliefs or personal beliefs as a teacher. That's just my personal opinion. You might disagree, and that's okay.
Acceptance. Yeah, you
I would
shouldn't.
say the
Yeah,
same thing.
teachers shouldn't tell students to be nice and tell students to accept each other. That's too much. Students should never be taught those things by teachers, right?
What I'm saying is that if a teacher's there for curriculum purposes, they should stick to curricular purposes as far as
Is
math,
anti-bullying
science,
curriculum?
literature, history.
You
But
think? Do you think that
having a
teachers should
trans
have an
flag,
anti-bullying approach?
I mean, I think that's actually a prerequisite with the school board. I mean, you're supposed to have an
Mm-hmm.
anti-bullying approach,
Yeah, this is anti-bullying.
but this also is referring to ideology.
Okay.
And when you're having a trans flag in like a classroom for young children, specifically, I would say, again, personal opinion, if you're in high school, totally different story. But malleable children that are 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and some of these instances, they have had these flags up in elementary schools. I take issue with that for sure because I think they're malleable. I think they're too little to understand ideologies or any preferences at all. I also think that it's hyper children, which as a parent, I find that personally completely egregious. As a parent, I
I'm
don't
sorry,
think that's
but that's
something
just
that teachers should be
unbelievably
doing.
stupid. This is not kids. It's simply just providing acceptance. To
But it
kids
is. It's
is simply
exactly.
sexuality to
But that's
kids
the
is
point.
simply I just find that like when I was a kid, when I was 5 years old, I knew that I was straight because I found a girl cute in the classroom. Okay, so that's not kids to acknowledge that I was straight at that point, right?
So at
This
five,
is
did you
just for
understand what straight
acceptance.
meant?
I think that I could understand that I liked girls, and the
Yeah,
notion
but
that
did you understand what the definition of straight was, as far as what the meaning of being straight or
yes,
heterosexual was at 5 years old?
yes, I think I
Well,
did.
then I would say that you're very high IQ and you're very intelligent because most 5 year olds do not understand heterosexuality.
So, like in the notion that they understand it is that I understand that some boys like girls, some girls like boys, some boys like boys, and some girls like girls. That's the notion that should exist. That's all that exists. That
Sure, I'm not disagreeing with
okay.
that,
So
but at
all we're
5 years
talking about,
old,
by the way,
I
let me
don't
just
think you should be
clarify.
telling a 5 year old. Go ahead.
All we're talking about is just saying gay things whenever we talk about straight things. That's it. And then when it comes to this, just providing acceptance. That's it. None of these things are harmful to kids. None of them are pushing them to be trans or gay. No kid is going to become trans or gay because of this.
I mean, maybe not. That's hypothetical because you don't know if a teacher's in there, and this is where I take issue. Some of these individual teachers, in my opinion, of which are literally trying to have affirmation because they don't have self affirmation. They don't have affirmation from adults, and they're trying to get affirmed by young children. And to me, that's just egregious. And that has happened. You cannot deny that that has not happened.
I
Now,
give you
I'm not
time to go
saying that's
find
a
examples and you
generalization. Every
failed.
single teacher does that. I know that's looking at it more on a micro level versus a macro, but I find that inappropriate. And again, if you have a trans flag in a classroom with high school, individuals who have, been exposed to the world versus a 6 or 7 or 8 year old child, I find those two very different factors. They're very different scenarios because a high schooler is more mature and can process those things differently than a young child. I just think that's hypersexualizing children. When you start to identify or put identification in young children's minds that are again malleable, you can tell a child that a man can fly in the sky like Santa Claus, and they typically will believe it if your parents say that, right? If a teacher's saying something, and I'm not saying all because I'm not generalizing, but if a teacher does say something, and let's just look at it from a micro perspective, and they are telling a young child, like let's just say it's a young boy who might be a little bit more effeminate, and they say to that young boy, "You can be a girl." Do you think that's appropriate?
I think it's totally
I
appropriate to
don't.
say that some kids are trans. I think it's totally appropriate to say that some kids are gay, and there's nothing wrong with
To an
that.
8 year old or a 6 year old or 7 year old without parental consent,
I think that you can have.
I think that's confusing children and it's
No, it's
hypersexualizing,
not. I
Parker.
think what's
To be honest with
confusing
you,
children is when you don't have these concepts existing at all. No one is going to become gay or trans because they just heard about this. That's not how it works, okay? This
I'm
is
not
just
saying they
simply,
are.
well, yeah, you are arguing that people might have a chance of possibly becoming trans or gay because we just said it's okay to be gay or trans if you're gay or trans. All we're doing this for is acceptance, for restrictions on bullying, right? The point of this is very clear. It's just to ensure that children are safe and they're not harmed. Not to force kids to be trans or force kids to be gay. We're not trying to groom kids to be either way. I'm a straight guy. I'm not trans. I'm cis and I'm straight. I'm not forcing anyone to be gay, forcing anyone to be trans. I acknowledge the benefit from this because I acknowledge that people are gay, people are trans, kids are gay, kids are trans, and if we don't have policies to address this, inevitably they get harmed. That's what you're not
Okay, and that's
understanding. And it
fine.
sounds
I'm
like you
not.
don't even care about that, okay? You're not even considering that within your analysis here. It's just you think, oh, they're going to be turned into being gay or being trans. That's not how it works. You can't do
No,
that.
I'm not
It's not a
saying that either.
choice. Okay? No
That's
one's
not
going
what
to
I'm saying,
become
Parker.
gay
What
or
I'm saying
become
is
trans
instead of
because
having
we said
teachers that are
you're
promoting
accepted
their
if you're gay or
ideology,
trans. Because we should argue you're accepted regardless of whether you're
okay,
straight, whether you're gay, whether you're cis, whether you're trans, you're accepted regardless. So it's not going to cause
Parker, I'm
anyone to
not
be gay, straight, or trans because it's saying you're accepted regardless of the.
Parker, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. What I'm saying is instead of having, let's just say again, for example, a teacher that is having a trans flag fly in an elementary school, why not just have a class for it? That's what education is for. Why not just have a class and have the parents actually give approval for this? If they choose to sign their children up for it, then go for it.
Because this is
If they
anti-bullying.
don't, then they don't.
This is anti-bullying. This is not. This is everyone has to experience anti-bullying messages within the context of school. It's not hyper specific to who picks and who doesn't. This is not the same thing as said. This is about acceptance. This is about limiting of bullying. This is not talking about. It's not talking about your anatomy. It's not talking about. It's not talking about using condoms. It's not talking about how you. Okay, none of those things are talked about. It's literally just saying accept people if they're gay, accept people if they're trans. That's it. That's literally all it's doing. That's like I don't know why you're trying to fearmonger and act like it's causing kids to be gay or trans. This is just anti-bullying. There's nothing wrong with this. Every kid should go through this because no kid should go without learning that you should accept kids who are gay and trans. No kid should go without learning that you should accept people for literally no reason. They haven't done anything wrong. They're just gay or trans. They did nothing wrong. So don't literally make fun of them for no reason. That's all we're teaching kids.
And I'm not making fun of anyone. What I'm saying is, again,
I'm not saying
there,
you
there
are.
is a,
I'm saying
as
kids
a parent,
do it within
there's
society, and we want to limit that.
right, okay, and that's fine. I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect or fallible. What I'm saying is, as a parent, it is our responsibility to teach our children and give and expose them. That's the key word here. Expose them to specific things like this when they are able to process it. A 5 and 6-year-old cannot comprehend homosexuality in the way that you and I, as an adult, would comprehend
you see how the age
homosexuality,
just keeps
or a
going
teenager.
down? Like you constantly just keep bringing a lower age. Okay. Now the context that exists
Okay,
there
8-year-old,
is simply
9-year-old,
the
fine.
context that exists there is simply just some girls like girls, some boys like girls, some girls like boys, and some girls like girls, and some boys like boys. That's it. That's literally all it is. Okay. So when you try to fearmonger, act like it's some big deal, act like they're talking about sex to kids, it's ridiculous. Stop doing that.
Okay, well, if that was the case, then some boys like boys, some girls like girls, and then some boys or girls like boys and girls, as in
Yeah.
bisexual. Then why is it continually changing? Every single, literally year, there's a new letter being added to this.
LGBTQ plus, IA plus.
Yeah, it just
What's
used to
wrong
be
with that?
LG.
Intersex,
Literally just used to be
asexual.
LG. It used to just be LGB, and then it turned into LGBTQ. Then it turned into LGBTQ. Now it's LGBTQ.
So just because understanding has changed over
plus.
time. So this is a complete pivot from the original point. Who cares?
No,
Why
it's
does that matter to you?
changing. What's happening is it's you're saying that there are certain norms as far as a boy can be attracted to a boy, a girl can be attracted to a girl. I'm not saying that's not true. I acknowledge that. Or a girl can be attracted to both sexes, whatever it may be. But the addition and the trans flag stands for the additions. All of these different additions and exposing children to that at a young age
what addition is
not adding trans, adding queer, adding different things to children
How
that
is that
cannot
bad?
process.
How are these
8-year-olds
bad?
and
How are these
9-year-olds
bad?
can't comprehend
How are
because
these
these children
bad?
can't comprehend this. It's children.
So do you think
It
that
is.
kids know what men and women are?
I think children understand when they're 3 or 4 years old. I mean, just based off of my personal experience from having 4 children myself, my children never really understood biological sex at all. They never even comprehended it until they were 3 or 4 years old when they started asking questions. Sure,
Okay.
about like why does mommy have this? Why does daddy have that? Sure, but as far as understanding heterosexuality or homosexuality, no, they still don't. They still my 4-year-old can't, and my 2-year-old, and my
Yeah, you have a
6-month-old
4-year-old
cannot
and a
comprehend that.
2-year-old.
No,
They're
of
not
course
even
not.
in kindergarten yet.
Yeah, I have a 9-year-old too.
Okay, so your 9-year-old
But
doesn't
she
understand.
she doesn't understand. She can't comprehend that. Like we've talked about that
What?
before. Like
Wait,
she
wait.
just looks at a person.
Wait, your 9-year-old doesn't understand, right? Like that some boys like boys, some girls like girls, and some girls like boys, and
She's homeschooled, remember? So when she
So?
does see this in public, when she sees this in public, she literally asks, why isn't this daddy with a mommy? Why isn't this mommy with a daddy? That's what she asks. And then as a parent, it's
Okay,
my
but
responsibility to explain that to her. But it's
okay, so
not the
she does
teacher's
understand. So,
responsibility
so
to
so
tell
she
her about that.
understands like
She
kid
sees a
crushes.
difference.
She understands
She
kid
sees a
crushes,
difference.
right?
No, she
She's
doesn't
9 years
have
old. Then
crushes.
you've sheltered your kid too much, where then now they don't understand the world. That's concerning. So when you say, "Oh, it's up to the parents to teach these things," well, such as yourself, you don't teach her everything. You failed her within that respect. Like you literally have sheltered her so much now she doesn't understand this is a 9-year-old, dude. You've held her back years. That's years of growth that she now doesn't have. You're
I
holding
mean,
her back
you're talking
socially.
about just being attracted to a opposite sex. Of course, she said boys
It's
are
not just
cute.
it's not just that. It's just like the understanding of the concept in general. At 9 years old, you know that, right? Like when I was 9 years old, I definitely understood that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as a parent, my wife and I both agreed that we would not have any conversation about sex until she was 12, because we felt that that was the time
This
frame that
isn't a
she would be
conversation
more
about sex.
understanding. But
And
that's our parental authority
but
to do so.
I understand that's your parental authority, but what I'm telling you is that like you can have a conversation about crushes with your kid. That's different than having a conversation about sex. And you also should have these conversations when kids are going to go through these things so that you can help prep your kids for these social interactions so that they have some type of expectations so that like you
Well,
can take care of them so that you can
I have
ensure
had
that
conversations
they're
when
on a
she's asked about
trajectory
a
of
dad being
growth
with a
and
dad.
progression.
When she's asked about a dad being with a dad or a mom being with a mom, I've simply told her that some people are not attracted to the opposite sex, and she says why, and she notices that, and she
Okay, then it sounds like she does know this and you were just misrepresenting.
maybe, but I mean, I try to talk to her in a way that with not involving anything, because I don't think she's old enough to process that, or at least I as her parent don't think that she needs to be talking
Well, I
about
just want to
or
let you know at that age,
exposed to things
I'm just going to let you know at that
at a
age
young
they
age.
should be able to know, right? And it's honestly not a good thing if they don't know at that point. Now, can I ask you a question because I want to see if you'll go this far?
But how are you going to say that it's not being a parent though?
If Donald Trump went up to your daughter and said he'd be dating her in 10 years, would you still vote for
I
him?
mean, if he went up to my daughter, no, of course not.
Well, you know he
But
did
but
that.
you
So
already know my
why would you
stance.
do that if he
You
went
already
up
know
to
my
someone
stance on
else's
this.
10-year-old girl and did that? Why would you still vote for him in that call?
You already know my stance on this. We've had this discussion
I
before.
don't remember.
I told you I vote for a party. I don't vote for a person.
Okay, but you still okay, so would you vote for Trump if he did this to your daughter, given that he's the Republican Party candidate?
If he's the only candidate and he's voting or if he
Republican
was the
versus
only
Kamala Harris. So
president,
Trump v. Harris.
yeah. So if he's the only candidate, obviously based off of primaries, then I probably just based off of my moral uh, disagreement with him, I would not vote at all.
Okay, so then why can't you say the same thing, right? When it's someone else's daughter that you just wouldn't
I'm
vote?
sorry. Go ahead.
Why wouldn't you just stop not vote if it's someone else's daughter that he did this to? Someone else's 10-year-old.
Well, this past election, I voted for Trump because again he was the candidate, but I did
But
not
if the
know
but if the election were held today,
much about his
with the
past.
information
I
that you
didn't
have
know.
right now, would you choose not to
Sure.
vote?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay, I'll take that. Going to the next individual. Only send a guest